Morning, folks. Welcome to The Joey Show. I'm Joey Avery. We have a big, massive, gigantic, important show for you today. Has there been any news going on? Anything at all? Has anything caught your eye? Yes, there's one story, one horrifying, terrifying story that's on everyone's mind. The Florida Panthers have won the Stanley Cup. Can you believe that Florida maintains its stranglehold on the NHL? I mean, all the history of puck, and we're bringing it to Fort Lauderdale? That has people on the... Of course, no, I am not going to spend much time talking about that. Look, there's a lot of news. There's a lot of things that I want to cover right now. It's kind of hard to not start with what's going on between Iran and Israel. Some are saying World War III. Some are saying the end of Trump's presidency. Some are saying Iraq 2.0. Others are saying, let the boy cook. And that's where we are today. Now, the tone of this program, yes, we discuss the news. Yes, we talk about what's going on. But we like to have fun with it. We like to make it light. And I realize this is a very serious situation. I'm not here to have fun with what's actually happening with the loss of life and destruction. I think it's very important when we talk about war, okay, because immediately it goes to what's the strategy. We cover it like we're watching a sporting event. The way that the news discusses what's happening between Iran and Israel is the way that Inside the NBA discusses it on TNT. In fact, I know Stephen A. Smith wants to branch into politics. He's talking about politics enough. I think if we need any sports commentators to discuss politics, it should be Ern, Chuck, Shaq, okay? It should be the boys. Have Kenny sprinting to the screen. Have Chuck saying crazy things like, oh, come on now, I don't know how... I only had one piece of Iranian pussy. Boy, that was hairy. Shaq's going, oh, Ernie's going, Chuck, come on now. You can't. This is a serious topic. We can't be talking about that. I'm just saying that. I was like James and the Giant Peach rubbing up on that booty. That is the only sports commentators I think should be allowed to cover these conflicts. Now, I'm going to cover it. I don't want to be dismissive, because I think when we discuss strategy, when we discuss what's happening, yes, it makes sense. Yes, it's important because we're trying to forecast, see what's going to happen to people. But it is horrible, okay? It can't all just be funny. It can't all just be fun and games. But this is how much of a loop I'm in. What is funny? What is funny? How do we have fun with things? I think the reason that politics is funny is not because it's funny to watch a potential war with consequences, the potential destabilization of a country with 90 million people. The history of us doing that, not very good. I don't think that's funny. I don't think it's funny that some dude put on a mask and shot to death to Democratic Congress people. I don't think the last week in the United States has been funny, but then when you realize the incompetence of the people who are running it, you're like, it's kind of funny, right? Like, tragedy's not funny, but the idea that anybody who's running things is competent enough to even be at the wheel is kind of hilarious. We'll see what happens. I may not be able to tell you what comes next, but there's one thing I can tell you, and I can report on this as an original piece of Joey Show reporting. We actually got our hands on a recording of a call from Benjamin Netanyahu to Donald Trump. This is proof that he's trying to convince him to join the war, and he's trying to pump him up, and this is the actual phone call from Benjamin Netanyahu to Donald Trump regarding the developing situation in Iran.
The Jersey boy said it, and I never forgot that you live for the fight when that's all that you got.
Yep.
Yeah, you know we bring the party.
Just trying to hype him up.
Everybody move. Welcome to the family. Everybody come together, 'cause you know we bring the party.
That's about bunker busters. this diplomacy. It's an inspirational sort of song here.
Be the inspiration that can light up the room. Just believe in yourself and believe in the boom.
So there it is. Now that's reporting that no one is giving right now, but that is direct proof that Benjamin Netanyahu is trying to get Donald Trump to drop a bunker-busting bomb on Iran's underground nuclear site at Fordo to once and for all complete the destruction of their nuclear program. Everyone's concern is, will this expand into some sort of regime change, which we cannot do. Okay, that we have a horrible history of that, and the entire half the MAGA movement has split off and said, you're an anti-war guy, what are you doing right now? And Trump is basically saying, like, shut up, you're gay, and just let me cook. And so we are going to have to wait and see what happens. It's fascinating because I try to bring you guys a fair perspective. Okay, I try to see what everyone's talking about, consolidate as much of it as I can into one place. And this one's a head spinner. There is propaganda coming left, right, and center. It's hard to wrap your brain around what's actually happening right now. There's the raw details. There's the what does Trump do? There is the splintering of Trump's coalition. There are people that are 100% saying Israel is pulling off the greatest military operation of all time. They destructed the top layer of Iran's military immediately. They did it efficiently. They can be in and out. This can happen now. It can be done. It can basically delete a global threat. And then there's other people saying that this is Iraq 2.0 and everything is going to go poorly. All the while, Israel is continuing operations in Gaza. So fun, uplifting stuff. And you might notice when you talk to people hearing something and you're like, whoa, I haven't heard that before. Where'd you get that? And then, and I realize there's something going on with the modern media environment because there's so much of it and because a lot of non-traditional programs have a lot of reach, as they should, because traditional media has beclowned themselves over and over again. They're often beholden to the same administrative and often pro-war forces that can convince people that this is a great idea, that Iraq was a great idea, so people turn to alternative media for an alternative voice that doesn't necessarily have to worry about their connections at the Pentagon. All that makes sense. But then sometimes those people get it wrong, and sometimes you might not notice that unless you step out of that echo chamber. I saw a very interesting clip kind of showcasing how quickly this can happen, and it just happened last week. This is from Devin Costa here on Twitter, who also has a podcast, and they put out a little Craigslist ad, and you'd be surprised how far it went.
Looking for the toughest badasses in the city. Seeking extremely tough, brave men for new crew that I'm building. Compensation, $6,500 to $12,500 per week.
Joey posted this ad on Thursday. We wake up
Shout
today.
out to
It's
Joey.
in the Associated Press. Donald Trump, the president of the United States, is vaguely referencing it, saying there's paid agitators. Alex Jones is talking about it. Steven Crowder.
The whole idea behind it was like, oh, the guys that respond to this Craigslist ad are going to be guys that consider themselves super hardcore badasses.
It's an inside joke with the podcast.
It's an inside joke for the listeners of the
Yes.
podcast.
You need fucking badass dudes who are kick ass.
Yeah,
They don't fold under
exactly.
pressure. You know.
And somehow the nation fell for it.
We talked about how this thing that was going on in Los Angeles was paid agitators. This is what I meant. Looking for the toughest badasses in the city of Los Angeles.
make me
Seeking
laugh
extremely
every time.
tough, brave men for a new crew I'm building. Compensation is $6,500 to $125,000 per week. Get paid every week.
What a stupid bitch.
$125,000.
They've got deep pockets.
All right, and it's all confirmed. It's all federal money front-loaded by the Biden administration. They admit
It's all
The
confirmed.
mayor
It's
admits
confirmed.
it in L.A.
It's confirmed.
They are encouraging this. They are funding it. They are running ads for big, strong men.
Somebody's financing it. We're going to find out.
It's investigating you. Well, you go live.
It's me, you fool! Arrest me! The best part of this is all these people, they do this and they go, look how stupid they are. Look how stupid they think we are.
Yeah, we think you're stupid. You're dumb. You're dumb as shit. It's a life-size like rat trap with a piece of cheese, and then she's getting snapped in half by the trap. She's like, I got the cheese, dumbass.
So there you go. That is what passes for a piece of news if you already agree with it. And the reason I bring this up is because I have a show where we talk about the news, and I don't even know the name of that podcast because I saw that clip when I was taking a shit a moment before recording, and I said, hey, that's perfect. That fits what I want to talk about, because I'm sitting here for an hour trying to distill everything that's happening into one sort of relatively cohesive narrative about an incredibly complex historical issue that I am not an expert on, but I want to bring a nice hour that I feel like I can hit right. And that's what every single person in that clip is doing. Alex Jones, Steven Crowder, Donald Trump, everyone does this because that's how you make a show. Everyone has an audience that they, well, not everyone. Not us, do we, folks? Audience captured by the 12. Shout out to Hunty B. Everyone has an audience that they know they want to serve with this type of shit that they like to serve up. So they're going around the internet looking for what that is. Now, some people, I think, do a pretty good job, a very good job of actually researching and fact-checking things, and that's why you should try to gather things from reputable sources that you trust, but also reference them against lunacy from the other side so that you can understand what's happening. But just know that there are hundreds of thousands of people wandering around with this piece of information in their head going, we have proof of the paid agitators. And it's a bunch of dudes on a podcast that I don't it looks like it's called Hate Watch, okay, that I barely even looked into because that's how this works. But that did prove my point. Now, what if they're lying? I'll never know. We're a light program here. But there have been some fun things that have come out of this. It's not all about having fun. We're not supposed to use a horrible thing happening in a large country, a large amount of the people that are getting hurt right now that don't actually agree with the administration of Iran. The civilian toll in these things is something that we just kind of brush over because it's part of war, but it's really not part of war when it's your fucking life, is it? It's really not part of war when I'm sitting here in New York City going, hey, if we turn Iran into a country full of terrorists by doing this, we're getting fucked at some point in this city. Don't want that to happen. Not interested in that. Hey, putting it out there. I'm against it. But this is the sort of shit that happens. That being said, then I'm sitting there. I'm sifting through the news, and I see Caitlyn Jenner is having a glass of vino in a bomb shelter in Israel. And I think that is nice. Not because I want anybody to be in bomb shelters, but because that to me is this era in a nutshell. Like when my kids ask me, what was it like living in 2025? I'm going to show them a picture of Caitlyn Jenner drinking wine in an Israeli bomb shelter, and they will be like, that's actually so normal to us now. I don't even understand why that's weird. And I'll say, that's right, I should have showed that to your grandfather, because he would take out the Japanese service weapon that he had gathered from Iwo Jima, and he will put it in his mouth and blast his brains out with it, with the one single bullet that he'd saved for a special moment. And why? Because he doesn't like Pinot. He's a Chardonnay guy, obviously. Guys, come on. I just, that photo of Caitlyn, which I think is a beautiful photo, which I think should belong in the Smithsonian to some example. That look on her face, that wine in her hand, that general vibe, that to me is me every Sunday. Like that is what I look like on a Sunday, just kind of like, hey, just trying to just, we're still having fun, aren't we? Just kind of in an absolute giggle fit, going, boy, we're being goofy, aren't we? We're being a little goofy. We're having a little fun. Isn't this crazy? This is crazy. We're in a bomb shelter. War's going on. What a time for a trip to Israel. When you go, that lady who used to be a man is incredibly conservative and also in the Middle East, and then you just said, what was that sentence? What was that sentence? It's where we are, folks. It's where we are. It's not where we want to be. We'll see what happens. I hope for the least amount of, I hope no more people get hurt. I find that hard to believe. That doesn't seem like that's what's on the menu. But I hope that, I hope everyone cuts it out. Donald Trump, I hope that he stops, tweeting in the middle of the night that everyone needs to leave another city and causing crazy traffic jams. That might not be great. But, hey, the funny thing is he'll do things that have negative consequences as president, and I'll go, I think he was actually in that case trying to be nice. Believe it or not. He's not as nice to our people sometimes, but there he is. There he is. Let's move on here. We've got some other things to cover. I don't have an answer to this conflict, folks. I thought that I did. I'm hoping I did. Let's check on. I was like, let's see how the markets are doing. We got to check in on finance news from time to time as U.S. stocks rose on Wednesday as traders monitor the latest developments in the Middle East and brace for the Federal Reserve's rate policy decision. They're climbing, and I think that's actually nice. Stocks were downbeat earlier as the Israel-Iran conflict mounted, but I hate when the stocks are down. It makes me sad. Because I want the stocks to be feeling good. Now, we want health in the market. Don't get me wrong, folks. Don't get me wrong. And this is market news. But it's always crazy to me the way it's reported when someone's house just got bombed and it's like, here's a quote, the market just seems very keen to fade geopolitical risk, says Zachary Hill, head of portfolio management at Horizon Investments. That has been historically the right thing to do. So I think that's kind of what's driving us so far today. Is the stocks are basically the stocks are that guy holding the video camera in a World Star video that's like, he don't want that smoke. He don't want that smoke. And most of the time that video doesn't even get made and doesn't get posted. Because a lot of the times, he don't want that smoke. But every once in a while, he do want that smoke. And that video does go to World Star. So right now, what we can only hope is that everyone lays down their hands in their fisticuffs and don't want that smoke. Trump says he's anti-war. A lot of people who are behind him are very upset at what he's already allowed Israel to do and is now potentially bringing us into, which could have ramifications for our service members overseas and who knows long term. Or this is a moment and he seizes it and it's some sort of geopolitical win. And he's able to win a little game of cards and take a nuclear bomb out of the equation. And I guess Iran will probably never go for a nuclear bomb again, given how safe that they feel, that they can trust us in negotiations. But the point is that the stocks are up. So the vibes are feeling good. The vibes are feeling a little better. I think ultimately I need to stop going on fun trips. I don't know what it is, but every time I have a particularly fun time, an extra good time, one of those good times where you come home and it's like, woof, I'm hungover. I got to rebuild a little bit. Horrible things break out. Two of my best friends, I went to one of their bachelor parties in New Orleans. Okay, I got back from that bachelor party in New Orleans. I was feeling so haggard, so done, so tired from the amount of partying that we were doing that I remember getting in bed that night, a Sunday night, and praying, man, I just don't want to go into an office. Well, folks, that was in 2020, and the next morning I woke up to something called the COVID-19 pandemic. And I never went to an office again in my life. I think I manifested that. I believe in manifesting. I remember I went to Coachella one year. I had a nice time, good time, hell of a time. Got back late that night, haggard, tired, done. Left it all out there on the field. Woke up the next morning, turned on Sports Center, watched some Boston Marathon highlights. You can see where this is going. It was bombed. Go to Cabo for my friend's bachelor party. Was having a nice time, good time, solid time. White boy summer was going on out there. It was a short one this year. It's already over, I've decided. But it was in full swing out there. It was nice. Had a lovely time. Got back, and this is going on, which is what makes me unoptimistic, less optimistic than the stocks for what's about to happen. But let's hope the stocks are right and I am wrong, okay? But it might be my world, and we're just living in it, okay? And I need to stop partying. Because when I go out and have good times, horrible things happen, and they compound with my hangover. And while I'm trying to build up my own dopamine and serotonin receptors and whatever happens when you party, I'm not a scientist, okay? The world goes to shit, and then it compounds. Because I'm trying to lie in bed, just catch some Z's and feel like a better person. Meanwhile, I'm mainlining information about all this. That's not good. That's not good. I might be a negative manifester. The universe works in balance, and when I'm cooking too hard, it says no. It says no. It says no. Okay, but we will always say yes here at the Joey Show, and I did say yes to some more tour dates. Come on out and see me live, folks. JoeyAvery.com/live. I am on tour still. Still will be doing some jokes, just tape the special. So still going to be using the hour that works while bringing in some new stuff so that I can bring everyone new stuff once the hour is out. But Cleveland, Ohio, I'll be there this weekend. Phoenix, Arizona, the following. St. Petersburg, Florida, the weekend of June 12th. Springfield, Massachusetts. Now we're out to September. We don't got to do all the fall dates. But Springfield, Washington, D.C., Point Pleasant, New Jersey, Levittown, New York, Charlotte, North Carolina, San Diego, Beverly, Massachusetts, and then San Jose in December, doing the Christmas show, December 23rd. Come on out, joeavery.com/live. Get your tickets for that. All right, folks, in other but similar news, Pentagon Pizza account reported high activity before Israel's attack on Iran. This is the sort of big data, okay, that I find important. Before Israel launched its top-secret attack on Iran, a viral social media account tracking pizza shop activity around the Pentagon predicted something was underway. On that night when they attacked, nearly all pizza establishments nearby the Pentagon have experienced a huge surge in activity. The account Pentagon Pizza reported, pointing to We the Pizza, Domino's Pizza, District Pizza Palace, and Extreme Pizza. Also at around 10 p.m., the account shared that Freddy's Beach Bar, a gay bar near the Pentagon, had abnormally low traffic for a Thursday night. Turns out nobody's bunker was getting busted in that town. What an interesting way to know what's going on. Look, we're not CIA. We're not in on what's going to happen, but we can tell when the piggies at the Pentagon are ready to carbo load for a full night of watching war. My question, is that the right snack for war? Is that the right snack for war? Okay, I would say maybe a meat lovers. We need protein if we're going to be doing this all night, unless we're just assuming that people are going to eat pizza. Is it because we're relaxing? Shouldn't you be so stressed on the work night that you're not like, yeah, let me crush some fucking za right now? We're watching the world burn. I guess you couldn't do meat lovers in that. Bacon would probably be insensitive considering neither side is having it. But this is the sort of data that I'm interested in. This is how we keep our finger on the pulse. Now, speaking of keeping our finger on everything. She preached orgasmic meditation. Now she's guilty of forcing employees into sex acts. This is the story of One Taste founder Nicole Dadone and former head of sales Rachel Churwitz, who were found guilty of a forced labor conspiracy. Now, I had been a little behind on all this. I haven't seen the Netflix documentary on One Taste before. I imagine that taste is fish. But they sought to practice orgasmic meditation, something Dadone believes can empower women and in some cases cure sexual trauma. Now we could hope, but after a 4-week trial, the jury delivered its verdict against former head of sales and the company founder of One Taste. They got. Under the guise of empowerment and wellness, the defendants are alleged to have sought complete control over their employees' lives, including by driving them into debt and directing them to perform sexual acts, all while withholding wages while you're getting paid in pussy, dig. I'm kidding. It's not okay, said U.S. Attorney Breon Peace in the indictment. One Taste employees testified that they worked long hours for little to no pay while trying to sell the company's orgasmic meditation workshops, which could cost as much as $60,000 by a vibrator. And they were expected to experience it with each other on a daily basis, a practice in which a woman lies naked from the waist down on a bed of, bottomless at the office, on a bed of pillows as another individual stimulates the section of their genitalia containing the most nerve, that's the clit, for 15 minutes. Some female employees alleged in court that they were forced to OM with wealthy men in hopes they would invest money in the company or purchase classes. Now, I found an old it's just one of those things that's a story that we could talk about over and over and over again, where someone comes up with something that's a breakthrough in humanity, spirituality, oneness, sexual awakening, the chance to break through, to be different all through sex. And it turns out that they've just figured out a way to construct the right sort of verbiage, to construct a syllabus around the fact that they are a sexy little freaky fuck who wants to get pounded or plowed or whatever, or do that frequently. And then realizes that sex is, of course, the key to power, and that if once you can control people through sex or do things that make them feel shameful and indebted to you, then you win. Also, it's a way for you to maintain your power, and then all of a sudden you've created sexual trauma amongst people while you were pretending to have a thing that was designed to fix it. And that's just every single cult ever. That's every single time this has ever happened. But I found this one to be interesting, and I found an old video. This is from 2018. Daily Mail put this out. Orgasmic meditation. Could this be the new yoga? Let's take a look.
Yeah, you can let that stroke all the way in. Orgasmic meditation, it's a 15-minute partnered practice.
Time saving.
That
it's like the
people
DMT
can
of getting
do
your
together
clit
to
blasted.
increase connection, vitality, wellness, and cultivate a greater connection between them. And what happens in the practice is a woman takes off her pants, her trousers.
Yeah.
She lies down, and
now.
her partner, who could be a man or a woman, sits next to her, and for 15 minutes, lightly and deliberately strokes her clitoris with no goal but to feel.
Literally hard, though. You say that, and I'm like, nice.
We teach classes probably in about 30 different cities all over the world, definitely here in London, but also many other places. You can also learn the practice of Om through a private trainer.
A private trainer. Imagine your wife being like, I've got the trainer coming over today. The trainer where I lie on a pillow and he fingers me bottomless.
That people could equally say yoga, meditation, orgasmic meditation.
It's the same thing. It's literally the same thing. There's no difference at all, okay? It's just clits out for the girls. It's just clits out for the girl. Every single person who has ever preached any form of this has ended up being prosecuted and guilty. There will be a new version of this every year. Every year. Here's a specific one from this. Boss ordered employees to have sex at Bay Area startup. Witnesses, the head of sales. This is the same one. Rachel, 2013 sales meeting. Rachel Cherwitz, now 44, was upset that profits were down at the New York City branch of One Taste. Bish. A former sales employee named Max testified. He said that Cherwitz attributed the dip to sexual tension between two employees. That was bringing down the whole bottom line, the bottomless line, two employees. Tumescence in the parlance of the company, which witnesses have now described as a sex cult, and I told them, I want you guys to go have sex right now. Okay. Now, on the one hand, bosses have told me to do a lot of things, and that is probably the best one that you would think that you'd be like, all right, don't mind if I do. I was going to have an afternoon espresso, but if you want me to take Sally out to the water cooler and bend her over it and just donkey fuck her to help our Q3 numbers, I will oblige. Now, the problem is that both of them were in relationships. In fact, where is it? While Becky couldn't remember the specifics, she said it was awkward because the man with whom she was told to have a makeout, which was the One Taste term for sexual activity, was in a relationship with her friend who was also in the sales meeting. While the rest of the group waited for the pair to return, that friend, also a friend of Max's, broke down. Max, too, hit a breaking point. They said, I felt so sick inside. I think that was just the moment when I woke up. They left the group a few months later. So it sounds fun. It sounds like a good idea when you're the sexual creep masquerading as a corporate executive. You're like, I know what everyone wants, and it's whatever my own sexual issues are. And the problem with our society is we are so repressed that our Q3 numbers are down, and we got to start fucking if we want to get our Q3 numbers up. You expect me to go on the floor of the stock exchange and ring a bell and not watch that number go up because you didn't go up in your girlfriend's friend during the sales meeting that everyone was in? The problem is you feel horrible after that, especially when you didn't want to do it. That's the problem. Now, the idea that this is like an awakening, it's like every single person ever who's going to sell you an awakening is partially full of shit and partially correct. Every single one. Okay? It could be the U.S. version of a sexually charged cult that is also basically just a capitalist entity. Okay. It could be a guy in a ponytail with a hacky sack and a six-pack who is starting a cult. Sure. It could be an Indian guy who you think is wise because you're not Indian and you just assume that they're all wise and he's lived 1,000 lives and maybe he has long fingernails. I've seen some of them do. Yes, it could be a religion. It could be any sort of practice. Some of it's true. A lot of it's bullshit. There is no awakening that's going to shatter you from the matrix directly into reality. Not true politically, religious-wise, cult-wise, even if you're getting your clit fingered on a pillow. But they all probably have a point about something that you could integrate into your own life, and maybe it would be nice. And maybe we should all consensually, with our own partners, lie them down on a pillow, bottomless, and finger their clit for 15 minutes. Maybe that would be nice. Maybe that would be nice. And a sales rep doesn't have to fuck his girlfriend's friend to get us there. Maybe. I bet a lot of people had a great time at this company, though, and that's one thing that doesn't get covered. The one thing that never gets covered in courthousenews.com is all the people that had a bang-up time at that operation. And a lot of them did, I'm sure. A lot of people are probably like, God damn, they shutting that down? Fuck. Fuck. That was a good time. That was a great time, dude. Fuck. That's what some people are saying. And for those people, I'm sad. But there's always going to be pillows and there's always going to be clitorises, and you can find your own. You have to pay $60,000. The fact that they were using this, and now I got to go watch this documentary. The fact that they were using this as like a great way to like get in and sell to people, and they were having like women from their company be like, yeah, come just practice it, to like a high-powered guy who just got to rub some clit for a while and had a shitload of money. It's literally just a brothel of some kind. It's the most American brothel. It's expensive, it goes after the rich, and it's tricking you into thinking it's okay when it's probably not. Did it forge a connection? Well, I'm sure it did. I'm sure getting your clit rubbed for 15 is nice. I'm sure it's nice. I'm sure it did form a connection. This is maybe it's a tale as old as time. Maybe that's why white dudes and Asian chicks have gotten along so well forever, because a bunch of guys are going to massage parlors. Maybe that's the other version of it. Maybe that's the male version of it. I guess it's the opposite, because this is saying that there's no end goal. That one's very transactional. Maybe that's the difference between men and women. I don't know. But maybe it's not that simple. Maybe none of it's that simple. Maybe we are stuck in a matrix, and maybe we do need an awakening, and maybe you need to take my course where I lay down on a pillow. How about that? Where I lay down on a pillow and it come stroke the thing for 15 and but no goals, no moves, just lying down, bottomless. For some reason, the bottomless part is so funny to me. I know that's how they made it, like, this isn't totally sexual, but to me, it's just Porky Pigging it and getting absolutely clit blasted. Good for the people who it worked for, but obvious cult. Max, who worked at the company, his duties involved driving Daedone around to go tanning, get coffee, or get her hair done. They also booked venues for events and arranged food, stages, and microphones. Max and others would have to clean her room before her after stays, so they'd be cleaning up used condoms. It's just, why have I read this story 10,000 fucking times? Max also picked up supplies from a storage unit to set up nests for the company's core practice called orgasmic meditation, or oming, but unlike the ancient solitary practice of meditation, it's a partner ritual that involves stroking a woman's clitoris or a man's penis, a male ohm, for a period of 15 minutes. It supplies yoga mats, meditation cushions, and washcloths to place underneath the stroke ease. What a time, folks. We missed a boat there. Don't worry, another one's coming. This is a tale as old as time. It will happen a million more times. We have another story here. American tourist dies in a shamanic ritual in Peru after drinking hallucinogenic herbal tea during spiritual tourism session in remote Amazon. Maybe there's just not an awakening that works for everybody. An American tourist has died after taking a hallucinogenic herbal tea at a spiritual retreat in the Peruvian Amazon. Aaron Wayne Castronova, 41, died in Loreto, a region bordering Brazil, after drinking the trance-inducing brew. According to the regional prosecutor's forensic pathologist, the tourist, understood to be from Alabama, suffered a breakdown that led to his death from the brew, known as ayahuasca, which triggered a multi-organ reaction to his body. It's possible that ayahuasca is not for a lot of people from Alabama. No offense, I'm not from Alabama. I'm not saying, and I've never done it. I'm sure that it has healing properties. I'm sure we'll get one comment, someone from Alabama, hey, it worked for me. That's totally fine. I just think for some people, it's a large gap to bridge. I think for some people, going from 15 beers at an SEC football game, okay, wearing a loose collared shirt and almost falling over and getting a mud stain on your khaki shorts, straight to Peru to commune with every dimension all at once and see jaguars and snakes and all of your demons. Sometimes that's a lot. I'm not saying it's not helpful to excise some of your spiritual demons. I'm sure that it is. But as we've covered on this program, ayahuasca might not always be telling you the truth. Not an expert, never done it. We know it told Aubrey Marcus to impregnate 2 women. A lot of people are not sure if it was correct in that case. We covered it at length. It's the only video we've ever posted that's been super successful, but that's not the point, folks. The point is that a little bit of something can work. A lot can be too much. You're not going to fix everything all at once. Don't make yourself a fish out of water, and try what's right for you. Maybe going all the way to Peru to drink a brew that makes you shit and puke and see everything all at once is too much for you. Maybe you're a strokee. Maybe you need to take off your bottoms, get on the pillow, male or female, and get touched up a bit. Maybe that's what you need. Or maybe you just need to go for a walk. Also that sometimes. Also that we all question ourselves at times. We all wonder if we're doing the right thing. We all have done the wrong thing and then said, boy, I want to be better than that. And when you search for answers, I think it's very tempting to search outside of yourself. Maybe there is some retreat I can go to. Maybe there is somebody who can sell me something. And sometimes there's someone who can. There are experts out there that can offer real valuable advice and real valuable things. But when you're in that state, you also might be in a vulnerable state. And a lot of people set up these structures in the way that every business is set up to increase a bottom line. No pun intended, with the bottomless lying on the pillows. And once that structure is set up, people are incentivized to turn their care, your salvation, into a commodity, into something that can be graphed and charted and improved upon quarter over quarter. That's the system that we live in. I don't begrudge them for trying to survive, but I'm not sure if it's always going to help you. Sometimes the answers are inside, and if you need to look outside, do it with a healthy dose of skepticism. Otherwise, you might be blasting on ayahuasca, getting jerked off by a random guy in Peru, and wondering if that made things worse. Because it might have. I'm not saying that's what happened. I don't know what the shaman does when you drink the brew out there. I'm just saying sometimes the answers are within. You just got to find them. And if someone from the outside is telling you where it is, maybe you don't trust them. But maybe some people do need work. We're in a very tense global situation. Maybe what we need is Donald Trump and Ayatollah Khamenei and Benjamin Netanyahu to sit down together, to share a bit from each other's spiritual lives. We all are approaching this sort of conflict with very different priors, with very, very different propaganda. Every single one of us, whatever's on your timeline, whatever you've been watching, Iranian state TV, maybe you've been watching Israeli state TV, maybe you've been watching Fox or CNN or just whatever's getting shit pumped into your timeline, and then you bring all the information that you have, which feels like a lot, which feels like a million data points, which feels like you've constructed a story, which feels like you've been fucking in the room with the yarn, going dot to dot to dot, piecing it out, fitting it all together. You have figured it out. You have figured it out when in fact, you are at best probably seeing 2% of a very complex situation involving complex emotions and complex history. And we're in a very dangerous position because of that, because the people who are running it are not stable. The people who are making decisions, okay, are looking out for themselves, and it's life and death for them and their political careers. They're not necessarily looking out for you. That's very, very dangerous. And we're all operating with a small piece of the puzzle, assuming it's the whole thing and ready to fight and die over it. And maybe you need a little bit more compassion. Maybe you need a little bit more of a chance to break through the matrix. And maybe that's what those 3 men need. Sit down. Share a little bit about their philosophy. Do I trust any of their philosophies? No. Do I like any one of the 3? No. But they're what we have right now. And the one thing that I think I can offer them, and I know that it sounds crazy, and I know that it sounds antithetical to what I've been talking about, but I actually do think there's one thing that would speak to all three of them. And it's a male OM. It is. It is. We know that they all like getting stroked a little bit. We're aware of that. We understand that. They understand that. But what if the stroke was a little bit different? What if you could keep the top half of the suit on, or the traditional garments and garb? I'm not an expert in the region. And maybe you get touched in a way that's not just about your own ejaculation. Maybe it's not about your own ability to go make the boom. Maybe it's not your time to shoot one off. Maybe it's your time to get stroked for a while and hold one in. Learn how to hold your fire, okay? Have a little peace of mind while getting your peace stroked. Maybe that's the chance that we really have for world peace. And maybe just maybe what happened with One Taste is a problem with we tried to corporatize a real thing that works, a real religion. Okay, this is what happens when religion becomes organized, and it's no longer about Jesus. It's about the church, and it's no longer about lying on a pillow, bottomless, getting stroked and flicked. It's about the company and the bottom line and your power and what you want people to do. And you think you're the big one just because you have power. Well, maybe it's not about that. Maybe it's about lying there on a pillow trying not to come while some random stranger performs a procedure on you. And maybe we get those three men in there. And that changes everything. And we can live in peace for a little bit longer. Will we ever live in peace forever? History says no. Seems like what happens is we build a lot of things. We set up a bunch of dominoes, tensions flare in a different region, and shit continues to happen. But maybe we can fix the matrix just this once with just this one plan. Just this one taste might be able to fix it all. Well, I hope it's true, folks. I'm not sure if it's true. If I came up with the solution, I'll take my Nobel Peace Prize and I won't turn it in to an organization. I will just turn it into more followers here for the 12. That's my one solution to World War III. It's different. It's unique. It's me and it's us. This has been The Joey Show. I'm Joey Avery. Thank you very much. Good night.
Thank God.